Prudent Money with Bob Brooks is sponsored by the Prudent Money Foundation on 91.3.
Well, how do you know when the right time is to sell your car? Today we're going to take a look. Stay tuned for the special Car Corner edition of Prudent Money. Good afternoon, this is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the special Car Corner edition of Prudent Money. Tony Joe's here with me as he is every Friday. Was it Thursday or Friday? Friday, yes, Friday, to take your Car Corner question.
Let's see, the government shuts down tomorrow at midnight. Yeah, this must be Friday.
I think, we won't get off on that rabbit trail. 1-877-913-5357. If you've got a question for Tony Joe, we would love to hear it, so you can give us a call, 1-877-913-5357. You know what I said the other day was that I think the government will run better if they were shut down.
I believe this administration would. I think if they shut down some of the bigger sections of it, like, let's just say the executive branch, I think it would run a lot better.
What a mess. That's just all I got to say. There's so many problems. Well, let me say it this minute. There's more problems than usual. But let's talk about, kind of get people caught up, because I was thinking about this prior to you coming in today, is that the United Auto Workers, this strike, I don't think that they've really reported much about it in the media, or it's underreported in the media, and this is one of those things that can really kind of spiral out of control. And I guess you're more in touch with this than I am, but I guess from my standpoint, outside looking in, that this can cause some pretty major supply chain type scenarios, and can really develop into a big problem.
Mm-hmm. The ripple effect is what you're going to see.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I will tell you right now, Bob, and everybody listening, this is getting serious now. And I know it's not being widely reported, and even if it was, I am not of the mindset that most people are paying attention to it like I am. Why is that? Well, they're not. A lot of people don't have any vested interest in it yet. They go on with their lives, and they're not mechanics, and they're not supposed to be, concerned about it like I am, because it will directly affect me, and it will directly affect the common everyday person that goes to get their car fixed if it continues.
Let me ask you a question. How much time do you think has to go by before you start to see that effect coming into the system?
Well, let me explain exactly how much time it's going to take. We've been following the UAW strike so that we can keep people updated on it, and it kind of blossoms. It's a strategically planned strike. Nothing I've ever seen before. There was a strike 5 years ago that wasn't even like this. It's strategically planned this time, and they're knocking out a section at a time very meticulously to make the most impact on the economy. Now, let me explain. You asked me, how long before you see effects? Well, the strike's been going on for a couple of weeks, but last Friday, Bob, after we got off the air, they effectively struck the distribution plants. That is, the parts warehouses that store all the parts for the dealers. When a dealer needs a part, and of course his depleted stock in his own personal dealership, he's got to call the warehouse and they're going to deliver it to him. Well, they went into strike mode on the, trying to think how this goes, the distribution warehouses struck last Friday. Monday morning, a lot of the dealerships, for at least Chevrolet and Chrysler, were not getting any parts. Haven't gotten any all week. Not a single delivery. So how fast is it going to affect? Pretty quick. Now, let me explain so you're not... I just want to tell you everything that I know, and I will keep you updated every week. But right now, Bob, once the dealers run out of a part that they need for a customer's car, they will usually exchange or make a deal with another dealership, a local dealership, where they can get the parts that they need and they can sell parts to the other dealer. You know, they exchange,
right.
you know, inventory. Well, now that there's a strike and nobody's getting anything, they're fighting for these parts. It's not like they're voluntarily exchanging parts anymore. It's every man for himself.
We're not playing nice.
Right. So this is a lot more serious than you think, simply because if your car is in the shop for repairs, if you're the person that goes to the dealership and your car is in there and they can't get a part for it, I wouldn't look to have your car fixed anytime soon, because it doesn't look like they're going to be getting any parts. Now, I've called and talked with all three of the major dealerships that I deal with, and the insight that I have is that Ford has not had any problems yet. However, they're expecting it as soon as Monday. Chrysler and General Motors are having serious issues. They're not getting any deliveries. Now, there is what we call inventory that was back-ordered for, say, a car that they needed a part for, and they ordered it last week before the strike. Well, they're not sure about those parts, whether they're going to get them or not, because as of last Friday when they went on strike, they tried to call and there's no answer. There's nobody there, okay, to talk to.
Right.
About, am I going to get the part that I ordered 10 days ago that had to come from Detroit? And, you know, there's nobody there. So my what I've heard is they're trying to get some of the higher administration people, which, if you can see this happening, I mean, I guess they're going to have to do something, but some of the white-collar people, the administration is going to come down and actually start to do the warehouse thing, if possible. Now, think of how that's going to work, first of all. Even if they do it, it's not going to be very efficient. Those people do not know what they're doing when they get down to that level. So I anticipate a parts shortage that's already occurring and will only get worse the more time that the UAW stays on strike, especially with the parts warehouses, because those parts are going to be that the dealers are struggling over right now. All the dealers in Dallas that are trying to buy a part for this car or whatever, eventually all their inventory is going to be depleted. And I don't think it's going to take more than a week or 10 days.
Okay, so let's look at it from both sides. From the auto workers that are striking, I mean, how long can they put the vice grip on the companies and still, I guess, feed their families?
Yes, correct. How long can they hold out? Well, let me tell you that the union will supply them with some backup money, okay, and will help them. But remember, this strike is unlike any I've ever seen because it's taking certain strategic hits here and there and taking out, and the only way I can explain it is it's a very effective strategic hit. They're marking places that are going to make the most impact on the economy. And it's not just that. This is unlike we've ever seen. It's not General Motors. It's not Ford. It's not Stellantis, Chrysler. It's everybody. It's all three at the same time. And it's pretty serious. And as of
Have you ever, did you say that this first time ever that that's been that way?
First time we've ever struck all three of the majors at the same time.
So if you from a automobile deal, from a company standpoint, I mean, I don't think I would imagine that there's no way that they could say, "Oh, sure, all your demands we'll finally give in to them." I mean, it would probably can't afford it, right?
Right. I think from what I hear anyway, now I'm not really up on the demands and everything they want, but they want some unreasonable, they're asking for some unreasonable requests.
Very
so I don't know about that part of it, but I do know this, that when you fall behind like 1 week, you think if they went off strike tomorrow and everything started back in Monday that they're going to catch up in a week. No, that's not how it works. Right now, it's already going to be a month before they can catch up. And today, at 11 o'clock our time, they struck another 2,500 workers and another section of plants. I'm not sure which ones. I didn't have time to follow up on it today, but I know that the SUV plant in Dearborn, or maybe not Dearborn, wherever it is, the Buick Envoy and the Chevy Traverse, whatever plant that is, they're on strike now. So they're taking those SUVs off the market, until the strike is over. It's funny to me, Bob, and it's really ironic. We went through COVID, and me as a personal entrepreneur who's trying to make a living in the industry, the automotive industry, all I'm asking for is, here's what's wrong with the car. The customer says, okay, go for it. All I need is the part. Well, we went through COVID. A lot of times you could not get the parts, and if you could, they were 6 weeks.
Hold that thought. This is Bob Brooks. You are listening to the special Car Corner edition of Prudent Money. 1-877-913-5357. We'll be right back.
The Word for Today is excited to announce the new official online home for the ministry of Pastor Chuck Smith and Kay Smith, pastorchuck.org. At pastorchuck.org, you'll have instant access to thousands of hours of verse-by-verse teaching by Pastor Chuck Smith from Genesis through Revelation, and full access to special messages on subjects such as prophecy and much, much more. Also at pastorchuck.org, a full library of great teachings by Kay Smith, and a section where you can read some of Pastor Chuck's books online, all free of charge. So visit the new official online home of the Word for Today and the ministry of Pastor Chuck and Kay Smith, pastorchuck.org.
God's unending faithfulness. That's our subject this week on Through the Bible with Dr. J. Vernon McGee. Together we'll discover the depths of God's goodness and devotion to each of us, and we'll learn to enter His presence with joy and thanksgiving. I'm Steve Schwetz, and I'll be holding open the doors of the Bible bus as you hop aboard.
Listen daily, 6:30 p.m. on Bible School Radio 91.3.
I'm John Monroe, and Monday on The Verdict, we're returning to our series in Revelation and beginning our final study on chapters 15 through 22. Our Lord Jesus Christ is coming back, and He's coming back soon. We're learning more about God's prophetic calendar. Join us as we study this fascinating book, Monday on The Verdict.
The Verdict, weekday mornings at 10:30, here on Bible School Radio, KDKR.
Welcome back. This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the special Car Corner edition of Prudent Money. Oh, boy. I got Tony Joe in here with me today, and you just never know what we're going to talk about during the break. But anyway, you were saying about...
I was trying to point out what I see as a possible, I don't know why I can't talk today. I can't even think. I'm tired. A possible scenario. That's the word I'm looking for. Look, right now it's really affecting the dealers. Maybe not Ford so much, but I believe that's coming pretty quick. So now let's say the dealers are having a lot of trouble getting parts for their cars. And they can't get your car back fixed because they can't get the parts they need. What do you do? Well, there's not a lot you can do. You could get aftermarket parts, which are around and plentiful for now. But what I see is without the dealers being able to take this huge chunk of repair business and all of a sudden it is overflowing onto the independents, there's going to be a problem with aftermarket parts probably aren't going to be able to keep up with the demand. Okay? I can see that coming. Now, depending on how long this strike lasts and how effective they keep ramping this thing up, which is what they're doing, I can see where eventually you're going to have a depletion of all auto parts, even the aftermarket ones. And in a time when I was explaining, we dealt with COVID. It was hard to navigate through that little episode. Then we had to deal with what happened in Taiwan with the chip shortages. Had new cars rolling off the assembly line, but nobody could get the chips for them, so they just sat in a parking lot until we could get some of the chips, which we're still not all the way complete with that yet. So we got a used car market that went through the roof because new cars weren't available. Now, we got all these used cars, okay? Right. Now we're not going to be able to get parts for them. Okay? I can see that scenario. Hopefully I'm wrong. I don't want that to be the case. But it's all going to depend on how long this strike lasts. So the people that are listening right now and it doesn't affect you right now, it is a prudent thing to keep in mind, to keep your eye on this strike, to watch how long it lasts and how far it's going to ramp up, because it's never going to get any better than it is right now this afternoon, unless it ends. But it will only ramp up worse and worse and worse. And I got to hand it to the UAW. This is a well-thought-out, well-planned, strategically hit the economy in the most effective ways possible. So somebody thought this through pretty good. And it has all three majors involved. That's never happened before. So it's a little more serious than most people are aware of at this time. What I see is it getting worse and worse and worse, and of course I'm on top of it, so you don't have to. I'll keep you informed, but, you know, it's not something to take lightly, and then with the government shutdown and all the other problems we have, life's a joy. Life's a joy.
You know, you talk about strategically how they did this. It's interesting to me, did they look far enough ahead and say, okay, the government probably will get shut down. How can we make this even worse, a situation for America? And, you know, the thing is, this isn't hurting Ferrari owners and Porsche owners and Mercedes owners. Mm-hmm. This is hurting the heartbeat of America.
It's hurting us. That's the problem. It's, you know, we are the ones being affected by it. Although I will say a lot of countries that we export to, and, you know, it will impact other countries, not necessarily as significantly as it's going to affect us, but it will have an impact around the globe. Yeah.
Is so far anything that they've done, is that besides parts wise, how much has that slowed down the new production of automobiles?
Well, of course, Bob, because they're not shutting everything down at once, so that there's not a new car being built in America. That's not happening yet.
They may not even need to get to that point.
They may not, because what they're doing is they're shutting down certain factories for various reasons, and it's very hard to put this puzzle together. I can't put it together completely myself, but I do understand what they're attempting to do. And I need more information myself. I don't want to speak out of... if I can't speak to that, I'm not even going to comment on it, but... This puzzle is kind of hard to put together, but I can tell you right now it's well thought out and well planned, and now apparently being well executed.
So let me ask you this: Are you seeing a part that cost $40 now costs $60? Or you're not seeing anything like that?
Actually, I am not seeing yet.
Are you surprised?
No, but this just happened, Bob. It happens quickly. Next week, we could be talking about prices that have doubled. I don't know, but it happens fast.
So if you can't, okay, the regular channels are shut down. You go to the aftermarket, and you could get some kind of sketchy quality, maybe not as good as the brand name. What about junkyards? And I mean, do you, as a owner of as a mechanic, do you start going and searching?
Certainly, you do anything you can. You reach for any possibility sometime because you don't. I don't like to use the used parts like that. I mean, but sometimes if that's the only option you have, so that this person can have their car back and make it functional, then yeah, you go to that extreme too.
And so how many percentage-wise do you think this will get to where a situation where I can't drive my car, I'm shut down, versus you can drive your car until the part comes in?
Yeah, and I can't give you a prediction on that really. That would be very difficult to do, but I will tell you the difference between COVID and the supply line shortages that we had. Remember, Bob, a lot of people weren't working during COVID, so they didn't need their cars. They were working from home.
Right, sure.
And this is going to be a completely different scenario. That's why, as a person who's interested in it, as I am, because of my, my vocation, that's what I do, it's kind of, I don't want to say scary. Scary's not the word, but we'll navigate through uncharted waters again, just like we did with COVID. It's just, can't get a break. It's like, wow, can't things just ever go back to normal for a while?
So you have all of our politicians tied up in this ridiculous situation with the government shutting down and everything. And you got our president. Well, I'm just curious about this. I hate to bring politics into it, but I thought it was wildly inappropriate, number one. Number two, to picket. I thought, and then I thought, when's the last time we saw that happen? That just didn't seem appropriate.
Yeah, I don't think that helped any of the strike situation at all. I think it just made it worse.
And we're talking about President Biden joining the striking workers and at the picket line.
Fortunately, he was only out there for about, I think they said 80 seconds. So that's a good thing.
Oh boy. Okay.
It's just not, Bob, I know what you mean. That did not help the situation.
If you wanted to go down there and help with the negotiations, which I don't know how much of help he would be, but if that is appropriate, to pick a side, I don't think that's what you do.
Well, the last time this strike 5 years ago, the government did get directly involved and put their foot down and said, you're going to do this and your guys are going to do that. And
I think that they should, because they shouldn't be able to hold the country hostage, and that's basically what they're doing.
And our automotive industry is such a large section of the economy that it's almost unbelievable that this is happening to me. Not to me, but happening to us. To me, it's unbelievable. That's what I meant. To me, it's unbelievable this is happening.
As of today, are you in a situation where you're having to tell people, I can't get your part?
No. As of yet, no.
So you're not there. How long do you think it would take before that potentially does happen?
Bob, the problem with answering that question is today they put another ding in the strike, and I got to follow up to see how much that's going to impact us next. And I really don't know all the information. I've been busy, and I'll sort it out tonight when I get home. But every answer that you want from me or that you're asking me depends on what happens in the next 5 or 6 days. What are they going to do next? What are they going to ramp it up to? Who's it going to affect? Is it going to be the parts distribution, or is it going to be, the Arlington auto plant? Who knows? So it's really, really, really upsetting to try to even predict anything. It's nothing I've ever seen.
It's interesting. Back to the whole deal about the government shutting down, and boy, that really they've got all the politicians are preoccupied, not even thinking about this situation. I think you're talking about how strategically this was put together.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, somebody really did think through that.
They did, Bob.
I mean,
have to admit.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty cool the way they're doing it. Not that I want, but it's pretty impactful.
Well, hopefully they'll figure it out. This is Bob Brooks. If you got a question for me, please go to the website at prudentmoney.com and send it in, because we are all out of time. Till we do meet again next time, keep the faith and have a great rest of the day.
That's all the time we have for today. Questions or comments for Bob, or to find out more great information like what you've just heard, visit www.prudentmoney.com. Be sure to join Bob Brooks again for the next edition of Prudent Money.